to talk about this. So now we're in the process of getting ready for the men's and women's Final Four coming up this weekend. And so I wanted to just throw this question out there. Hopefully someone in the comment section can kind of tell me, but does age really matter in 2026? And the reason why I'm saying that is when you look at the landscape of what's going on in the Final Four, okay, you have Michigan, you have Arizona, you have UConn, and you have Illinois, okay? So you got these four teams historically have great programs, and a lot of pros have came from these programs. And so when you look at the landscape of sports and kind of some, hot topics that we've been discussing here on this channel when it comes to the cost of AAU, when it comes to the cost of basketball nowadays, is basketball an elite type country club sport that's only for the elite? Or are we looking at the dynamics of everything just kind of shifting and more coaches, more people are looking at the product of the American sport, the American player, and they're just saying, hey, these American players, man, for the longest, they've been going through the ringer with this AAU stuff, folks fighting over kids and kids getting all these special perks at a young age, and they fighting for rankings here and there. But these international guys, what are they doing? Okay, they're worrying about being great. They're worrying about how can we be great at doing something. So when you look at just the landscape of the NBA and everyone talking about, hey, why come all of the great players are international players now? Well, the first thing that I can think about is that, we put so much emphasis on getting paid early and getting paid often. And like I've always said, hey, doing something for the love of the game versus doing something for a monetary value. I think the people in these other countries kind of picked up on that and they said, you know what, if I just want to be great, because that's what I want to do, I want to be great at something, then I know I have to work at something and work at something extremely hard. And when I do that, I'm going to take advantage of all of these different perks. Now, I'm not saying that the American player is not working extremely hard. We all know our kids bust their butt. They do what they need to do to kind of get put on. But at the same token, we're looking at everything across the board. When was the last great player that we can say that we produced? And like just for us as in the NBA, the last few NBA MVPs have all been international players. Okay. So what tends to happen? Now everybody is looking for the international player as he's the go-to type of prototype that I need in my organization. So let me go get one of these guys. Okay. So it's funny. I looked at the NCAA Final Four and I said, man, something is going on. Something is going on real strange. All right. They're not getting high school kids. They're recruiting everybody in the portal. Okay. Like I said, you recruit the portal. You don't recruit the high school kids. So what is going on now in the landscape of basketball? So I sat back and I looked and I'm looking at these teams that are winning. And I'm like, okay, you got the NIL, you got the portal. Well, a lot of these guys are older. So what did a smart coach or what folks start doing? And all of a sudden it's like a trend. They're going to get international players in college. And so when I look at the Michigans, the Arizonas, the Illinois, and the UConns, I said, wow, okay. What is the average age of the Final Four teams? All right. When you look at a Duke, again, best recruit class every year, number one freshman after number one freshman every year. But what happened? They got their butt kicked. They got their butt kicked by an older team per se. I mean, a freshman hit the big shot, but this is what's going on. So I sat back and I looked and I saw the landscape of college sports, and I'm starting to look at all of these schools going to get international players. And I said, all right, well, what's the average age of these teams that's in the Final Four? And so I just did a quick search and it says that the modern NCAA roster is between the ages of 19 to 21. All right, that's the average age of teams in the NCAA. All right, veteran teams usually are around the age of 21, probably to 23. All right, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's the average age that we usually look towards kids graduating, 18, 19, 20, 21, around 21. So nothing that kind of, that's kind of off kilter with that. But we got some elite teams now. The average age of some of these big programs or 23, 24, 25-year-old players due to the extra eligibility, the COVID year, and then the constant transferring, possibly for NIL programs, NIL opportunities. Okay. But the guys that's in the Final Four, again, these are not young teams. These are not young teams. And so old teams are beating up on the young teams left and right. Again, this is something that I consider to be a trend. All right. So again, you have what we call a 2 to 3 year gap when it comes to the kids' skill level. And so what's happening in the American game? So much of the talk of I'm going to reclassify, so much of the talk of going to a prep school, going to this place or going to that place to kind of save me from what's expected later on down the line. Or it's like, hey, I got to have this kid develop. But here's the thing. And like we said before, the pathway to get there it hasn't changed. The timeline has shifted, and the timeline pretty much has changed. And so what you're seeing right now in the NCAAs and then in college, you got 23, 24-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. Let me say it again, 23 and 24-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds in the tournament. That was the old model. This is something new. This is something different, where these guys are making sure that they're kind of, they want experience. These teams want experience, and they want experience left in with their program. So where are they going to get the experience? They're going overseas to get this experience. All right. Again, coaches are not waiting 3 and 4 years for me to develop a kid that's going to probably leave my program. All right. Nowadays, these programs and these teams are plugging holes into their program. Hey, I got a kid that's leaving. I need to plug this hole, not with an 18-year-old that I have to develop for 2 years. I'm going to plug him with this overseas guy that's been playing professional since he's been 15. And he's going to come here and he's going to dominate the NCAA ranks because he's already been doing it in the professional ranks in the country that pretty much he's came from. So I wanted to kind of show you guys this real fast. And I wanted to know what are your thoughts on this? So let's just look at the NCAA and some of the guys that are participating and that are playing in the NCAA's Final Four coming up. So who do we have? Let's just kind of scroll through this real fast. So Arizona has a few guys on the team that are from the Netherlands. We have Michigan. They have some guys from Spain. Okay. Let's see what else we have. We have the Fighting Illini. All right. They got a guy from Montego. Okay. Arizona, we got guys from Germany. Michigan has some guys from New Zealand. Okay. All right. Arizona got some guys from Australia. Okay. Lithuania. All right. South Sudan. Michigan, guys from Sweden. Germany. Okay. Australia. Okay. I see you, UConn. You got some Germany guys on there. Serbia for UConn from Serbia. UConn has also some guys from Turkey. All right. Fighting Illini. Good luck to you this weekend, but we got guys from Croatia. We got guys from Serbia. We got guys from Greece. So they really hit it hard, okay? We have Arizona has some guys from France and from the UK. All right, also from the Senegal. Okay, UConn have another guy that's German. So again, what am I saying? All right, so what am I saying? I'm saying that the Final Four teams are getting older, they're getting deeper, they're getting tougher. All right, but what does that mean for high school players? All right, that means that being young and talented isn't just enough anymore. All right, you need skill, you need strength, you need decision making. Okay, and now more than ever, late bloomers are now more valuable. And I'm going to be driving home that topic more with videos, and we're going to be discussing development and late bloomers versus instant success moving forward. But again, totally on the big picture, college basketball has shifted. The one and done stars are no longer, sought after. Would it be nice to get a one and done All-American? That's fine. But we all know that the climate and how the climate is playing out, you're really getting those guys for 1 year and getting them ready to go to another school. So you spend all your time developing them in your program just to send them off to another school. So again, the one and dones are kind of not so much sought after. A lot of schools are trying to recruit experience. All right. And then, like I said, recruiting freshmen is not a big thing anymore. Not as much as people trying to recruit through the transfer portal. All right. For production, early production, and production for the long haul too. All right. So again, the game didn't change. The timeline did. All right. It's not about being great at 18 anymore. It's about being ready at age 22. Okay. So again, let me know in the comment section what you think about this topic, what you think about this discussion. Hey, BT, man, you on one. I don't know what you're talking about with this. I'd like to hear from you. All right. So thanks again for checking out this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.